What's going on, you guys? Slim finally back here. I know it's been a while, you guys, but your boy is back. And yeah, I'm back with, of course, a crazy first place deck profile by my boy Brian. Shout out to you, bro. Thank you as always for, being a supporter of the channel, just being my homie, and literally just, sending me literally the spice, because as soon as he sent me this, I literally just fell in love with this deck, you guys. This is not even a drill. This is a 60 card Invoked Dogmatika Eldlich. It just has so much good stuff in it, and I absolutely freaking love it. I'm actually going to build this deck myself and play it. I already told him that, and I'm definitely gonna be doing that once I get back to streaming and whatnot, which will be very soon. I'm gonna be playing this because this is just looks like all gas, and it plays so many engines that I absolutely love in this game. So how could I not try this thing out? But yeah, he went undefeated with this deck at locals. I had to feature it, give you guys something new to try. Like, I know people are gonna say this is just like, I've seen so many Shaddoll Invoked decks, so many other decks, but I mean, this is like every engine in one. Like, this deck is just looks like so much fun. And like I said, as soon as I saw this, I was like, yo, I have to play this. So yeah, so again, shout out to you, bro. As always, I'm gonna go through the deck. I have some of his matchups. He's played it over multiple locals. He just gave me some of the matchups he did play against. That's not really what's important. What's important is just how insane this deck is, because I'm sure you guys can see the synergy of the engines of what the deck is trying to accomplish, and it's just awesome. But we're gonna get into it, you guys. Of course, triple copies of your boy, you already know. Triple copies of Alistair, triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. For the Dogmatikas, we got the one Ecclesia and the one Fleur de Lis. Very standard, even though you're in a 60 card deck. Again, you don't need to play more than this, because Nadir Servant adds back Ecclesia from the grave, and that is already all you need. You don't need to add any more. You don't have to play Maximus. You don't have to play any of that. Maximus is actually terrifying to play this format. Like, I love Maximus. Everyone knows this. The last time I played Invoked Dogmatika, but the format has changed, and there's so many Shaddolls running around that literally, if you activate Maximus, it's pretty much you just sealed the game. You just gave the game to your opponent, so it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I like the inclusion of the Dogmatika engine. Of course, 2 copies of Eldlich, the Golden Lord. You definitely don't need 3. 3 copies of Bell. I've been noticing Bell is really coming back into the format. It's so good against a lot of decks. Obviously, it stops Nadir Servant. It does wonders against Shaddoll Schism. It's good against just a lot of like different interactions from multiple decks. So I really like to see this card coming back into the format. Like, a lot of these hand traps are changing, like as the format progresses, as more decks become more relevant. Like, Bell is coming back into the format. Like, some decks do play Imperm, Droll, of course. There's like all these cards that really impact the format, so I really like to see Bell coming back again. And then, of course, he is playing Shaddolls in the deck. He's playing the 1 Ariel, the 2 Wendy, the 1 Beast, the 1 Dragon, and the 1 Hedgehog. If you notice, there is no Squamata. If I were to figure the reasoning for this, it would be because Squamata basically is just like a weaker Wendy. Wendy is just the best. Like, literally, if you do send Squamata, 9 times out of 10, you're going to go Squamata for Wendy, which is usually how it goes. And then Wendy will activate, of course, to special from the deck. I think he just wanted to cut that out of the way. Of course, he maxed out the deck to 60 cards, but everything in here was important. So I think he just cut the Squamata because it actually was repetitive when you're playing Wendy and just the small Shaddoll count. So I still like that. Triple copies of Skullmeister. There's a lot of Dino running around, especially now that we've got the Scrap Raptor. I'm still shocked that card was a common. I believe it was a common in Japan, but I think I was just more shocked, just realizing, yep, it's exactly going to be what it's like going to be here in the TCG. We're going to have a common Scrap Raptor. So there are a lot more Dino players. This is also just really good against any graveyard effect. I think the card is great, so definitely a great inclusion. Skullmeister definitely catches the opponent by surprise. It's just very strong against several decks in the format. And then he is playing the Dragoon package, so you got to play the Dark Magician, you got to play the Red Eyes. And as you can see, he does play the 1 Red Eyes Fusion, and you just hope in 60 cards you just don't draw these bricks. Like, you just really hope, because you would think, mathematically speaking, if I still draw this, like, there's something wrong. But yeah, he's just playing the 1-ofs, of course. And then Cursed Eldling, because of course he's still playing the Eldlich engine. This card is just amazing. The 1 Foolish, because this card has multiple purposes. There are so many things you can do with Foolish Burial in this particular 60 card pile, because not only can you send Shaddolls to trigger their effects, you can send Golden Lord to get him engraved. You can send Alistair if you hard draw Invocation without Alistair. You can do so much. It's actually ridiculous, like, how powerful Foolish is. I know it's a 1-of, but it's still so strong in this deck that I wanted to highlight just like all the things you can do with it. It's actually crazy. You can even send Ecclesia and then go Nadir. Like, there's just really random things that you can do. Like, some things that like are just insane. So I really like that. Foolish is just obviously a very strong 1-of. 2 copies of Invocation, the 3 copies of Meltdown, the 3 copies of Nadir Servant. Easily like one of the best cards in the deck. You guys already know how much advantage you get just by resolving this card. You've got, of course, the 1 Red Eyes Fusion that I already mentioned to go with the Dragoon package. You got triple copies of Shaddoll Fusion. I mean, this card is just all gas. Like, literally, you go second, you just resolve this. If this resolves, it's like game over. Same with this next card in Super Poly. Super Poly is amazing. It just breaks the board. The one of Terraforming, of course, for your Meltdown. You've got now into the more the Eldlich stuff. You got the 3 copies of Conquistador. You got 1 Punishment that rounds out the Dogmatika card. Just the most standard package. The 3 Nadir, the 3 Dogmatika cards, you're good to go. That's all you need. It's just a minimal investment for so much return. I really, really like that. And then the triple copies of Sanguine and only 2 copies of Haquero, along with 3 Imperm. I really like to see Imperm back here. The last time I played, I really did like Imperm. It's a card that catches a lot of people off guard. They don't expect people to play Imperm this format, but this card is very strong, and I see some decks are reverting back to it. It's just versatile against a lot of decks, and even though it's not the most impactful hand trap, it still can catch your opponent by surprise. It can stop niche interactions and niche card effects that are just really important, so I really like that he's playing Imperm. Then we've got, of course, the 1 Schism and the 3 copies of Solemn Strike to round out 60 cards in the main deck. I absolutely love it, bro. This deck is straight fire. Onto the side deck, 3 copies of Lancia. That's just standard. Just Lancia is good against so many decks. Like, there's no reason not to play it. The card is awesome. Then we got 3 copies of Contact C. So I heard a lot of content creators were talking about this card. This card is actually really, really crazy. It actually stops so many decks in the format. I know I saw Crush Card talk about this. It was just awesome. You special to your opponent's side, and they can't fusion, synchro, XYZ, or link summon unless they use this card as material. This can hurt a lot of decks, especially if they're forced to go links. And you know, it's just, this card is actually nuts. Like, I was really surprised when I saw this deck kind of come back into the format. It really does cripple the opponent, especially if they can't play around it. So the card is just awesome. It's really cool to see something innovative, you know, coming back into the side decks to combat the format. So I'm a huge fan of this card. Of course, triple copies of Dark Ruler. That's just standard. You got to break the Dragon Link boards and all the crazy boards that are coming out. And then for backrow removal, he's got the 1 Duster, the 2 Lightning Storm, and the 3 Evenly. Evenly is just an amazing card this format as well. So I just really like this. Very good against all the trap decks. Very good against just breaking boards, especially when the opponent doesn't expect it. They're always looking for the Dark Ruler. They're always looking for the Lightning Storm, stuff like that. You hit him with an Evenly. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. So I absolutely love it. And then last but not least, we'll go into the side decks. We got the 2 copies of El Shaddoll Avcalon, the 2 copies of Construct, and the 2 copies of Winda. That's just standard. You don't need more. The 1 copy of Entis to give punishment and added pop. Then for the Invoke monsters, just the 1 Agoides, the 1 Mechaba, and the 1 Raijin. That's just standard. You don't play Purgatrio. You do have the potential with the Ashes, but again, that's not going to come up as much. And as much as I love Purgatrio, it just doesn't come up as much in this particular build. Even though this is a 60 card build, if you've noticed, more of the Shaddoll Invoked Dogmatika decks have cut Purgatrio just because the extra deck is very tight. And imagine playing, you know, this many engines and still being able to put together a 15 card extra deck is just crazy, and trying to include everything that's important. The 1 of Dragoon and the 1 of Starving Venom, obviously Dragoon, and then obviously Starving Venom for the Super Poly. Then you've got the 1 Artemis, the 1 Gravity Controller, and the 1 Verde Anaconda. So that is the whole main side and extra deck, you guys. I really, really like it. Just some of the decks he did play against. In one of the locals, he did play against Time Thief. I knew he 2-0'd it. He 2-1'd against Shaddoll Invoked Dogmatika, so he probably played against like a standard 40 card build, and even with 60 cards, he had the extra engines, he had the extra utility. That I look at this deck and I just see a huge toolbox. So it's like you have a huge toolbox at your disposal, and it's awesome. And then he also played against Rockets, the Rockets that were playing the Reptile cards. I've already seen people playing that deck where they're trying to utilize the Rockets in conjunction with the new Reptile cards, and the Reptile cards have really been popping up, the Ogadix or whatever they're called. I definitely don't pronounce it right, but you guys already know what I mean. Snake Raid in the deck, it's pretty crazy, but I just want to, you know, tell him that this deck is just awesome. And some of the shout outs he sent me was that shout outs to Imperial Gaming and Prisco for hosting the locals. You guys already know that's the remote duel locals that I was playing at, and I will be returning to very shortly. For those of you that know, I was on a mini vacation, so now that I'm back, I got to get back in the swing of things. Got to start preparing for that remote duel YCS, so you already know your boys got to start putting in the work. He also wants to shout out Conrad White for helping me make the deck and putting our minds together to come up with this awesome deck. So yeah, shout out to you, bro. I absolutely love this. I hope you guys did too. If you did, be sure to smash that like button. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this particular build. Again, he got first place with this deck, and I just think it's awesome. Like, yes, it is Shaddoll Invoked Dogmatika, whatever you want to call it, but he just threw all good cards in it, and I just absolutely love that. And hopefully you guys will try it out. I'm definitely going to try it out because this deck just looks like so much fun, and it speaks volumes to me. So I can't wait to try it out and see what success I can have with it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.